Well, Jason came on the show last week, and he had a losing record, 6-7. Peter, not on the show, big daddy brain energy, came in with the 7-6. I got a 5-8. I was the worst. Chris tied Jason with 6-7.
Hey, I gotta say that's a win for me. That's a win for me. I tied Jason. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
That's the goal.
So 20 games out.
Here.
20 games out, but I tied him for 1 week.
Yikes. We're really struggling here. I will say, I was listening to the Beta and the Boomer, the new Denny Carter podcast kind of thing. It's a little joke thing, and his dad was saying that the game is reverse psychology. Whatever you think it is, bet the opposite. That's how you beat Vegas. No one wants to bet the opposite. Like, whatever you think, just bet the opposite. You'll make more money. And I was like, man, looking at my record this year, that was the move. Just pick against me, and life would be good. Yikes. Well, let's start off with the one I'm not going to do that with. We've got Buffalo at Detroit. Buffalo is favored by 10 points, and I just can't get off Buffalo. I know Detroit's really, good at this whole Thursday night Thanksgiving game thing at home, but it's Buffalo, man, even with the broken Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think for me, the Bills, I'm expecting to win this game, but what I've noticed is I have a hard time picking teams who are favored by that much when they're not at full strength. And we know that Josh Allen, he's playing very well through the injury, but there's clear on some plays that, he is struggling, and that led to the collapse against Minnesota and keeping the Cleveland game a little closer than it should have been. So I'm going to take Detroit to cover here because I think that spread is too big with where the Bills are right now.
I guess I had a question. I don't know if you guys know, but did Buffalo end up staying in Detroit for this game? Because I would imagine that would just be convenient if they did just practice in some field in Detroit because they're clearly are going to be there. Why would you fly back to Buffalo and then come back? But my point is that Buffalo already had a game in Detroit. It's basically going to be a home game for them. So I feel like in some weird way that they're kind of almost a home team here on Thursday Night Football. So I'm going to go ahead and pick Detroit because they're the home, or pick Buffalo because they're the home team. All right, next up we've got the New York Giants at Dallas. Another classic NFC East divisional matchup. Dallas favored by 9.5. Dallas is playing really good ball. And the Giants were off that big loss last week, but I think that's a big spread for me for a divisional game. I think I'm going to go ahead and pick the Giants.
I'm very scared by this. I do not know what to do. Dallas, last week, I would. It was funny. Jason was like, "Oh man, I'm not saying you're picking Minnesota because they had the hot game, but I try not to do that." And I was like, "Man, I kind of was." I didn't believe in Minnesota all year. I think any other week I would have picked the opposite. I would pick Dallas to win. And that 1 week I went off of them. And now I'm looking at this game and I have a similar problem. Giants had an issue. Dallas just had a big game. What to do? They lost Wandell, though. I'm going Dallas.
Yeah, it's a really tough one. I think another thing that you look at here, I don't know if Zeke's going to play. Did Zeke play last week? I'm not sure, but obviously
he had 2 touchdowns.
He did, right, and so did Tony Pollard. And the Giants,
right.
Giants rush defense, not good, and Dak's been playing well. So I think that the Giants will play better than they did last week, but I think this matchup plays really well for Dallas. All right. Speaking of Minnesota, they're going to host New England on the night, the dessert game of Thanksgiving, and they are a 3-point favorite with hosting New England. Now, New England's offense has not been great these last few weeks. They needed that punt return touchdown to beat the Jets, but I've been a huge fan of everything New England's done on defense this year, and I think that. Yeah, even if if it was the opposite, if Minnesota was coming out of that game with a 40-3 win against the Cowboys, I would still take New England's defense over Minnesota's offense. So I'll take New England.
I feel like I picked both the away teams for the Turkey Bowl game, so I'm going to pick the home team in this one. I'm going to go Minnesota. I'm going to say that they bounce back.
This is really difficult, but Kirk Cousins, I never liked him. He totally shot me in the foot. My season's over in one of these fantasy leagues. I picked him off of the waiver wire to play for Tua, and he scored me a whole point and a half. And anything else, I would have won. Like literally any other quarterback that breathed that week, I would have won. And it's really disappointing. So, anyways, I'm still picking Minnesota, though. I think their defense is going to be too much to handle for the I just don't believe in Mac Jones. We just talked about in the preview. Like, these quarterbacks are not the ones. So, Minnesota's going to find a way to win. It's not much. No, I don't. But I believe in Jefferson, and I believe in their weapons a lot more than New England's weapons. So, I can see the path. I think Zarius might eat in this matchup. Next up, we got Houston at Miami. Thank God Miami is back. Tua's back. My team might have a chance. Anyways, Miami, 13-point favorite. Holy cow, the biggest. No, it's not even the biggest. I take that back. There's a bigger one later on in the show. But 13 points is a ton of points against Houston. I don't know if they can pull it off. But I think they will, because I just think, Houston, we haven't seen them putting up many points lately. And Miami's really electrifying. So I hate taking this big spread, but you know what? Going for it. Miami.
Well, this pick bit me in the butt 2 weeks ago because I put up all the numbers that showed the trend showed that the Texans should have been able to cover against the Giants, and that did not happen. What I will give it to the Texans here, although it is possible they are just packing it in for the season now as they're 1-8-1, but Dolphins defense incredibly beat up. We've seen teams have no issue putting up points against them. It's just that the Dolphins have been scoring more. So I'll take Houston to at least cover.
I'm going to take Miami because, I think I picked Houston last week to put up a stinker against the Commanders, and then the Commanders ended up winning by 13. They didn't even get close to the spread, so I'm going to go Miami. Next up, we got Baltimore at Jacksonville. Baltimore favored by 4. If you guys listened to our preview episode for the Jaguars, you'll know that I'm going to pick Baltimore here to beat the spread.
I'm also picking Baltimore because Baltimore scored more than 4 points.
Apparently, I picked a push on the the sheet when we did the score predictions, but I'll still take Baltimore here. All right, so now we got Atlanta at Washington. Washington is a 4-point favorite. Both these teams have been sticking around in games as of late. Washington has really looked great the past 2 weeks, which could put them in prime situation for a letdown game. However, you know what? I'll give it to the Commanders. They look like they figured something out. Taylor Heineke is a winner. I'll give it to Washington.
I hate that I totally agree with you, Peter. Not because I don't like agreeing with you, but that I really don't like picking Washington. But I think you're right. I think that they might get another win.
I hate seeing 2 solid rows of red. And I don't think we'll see it because of Baltimore. So I'm feeling good, going with the flow here and picking Washington to cover against an Atlanta team that was doing pretty well for a long time, but I think they might have been figured out recently. This next game is not fun at all to pick. We got Chicago going against the New York Jets. New York Jets are at home. The Jets are favored by 4.5 points. Are they in turmoil, or is it just the New York media? I don't know, but I'm going to say yes, they are in turmoil. And Chicago, I don't know if Fields is going to play, but I'm going to say that he is going to play. He's going to find a way to get out there and keep it close. So I'm going to pick Chicago here, and maybe they'll even win it.
Yeah, despite the fact that the Chicago Bears offense has been revitalized these past few weeks, it really hasn't translated into wins for them. Their defense has just been not great. And I think this could be a real statement game here for the Jets to get back on track. They could have beat New England if they had just held on special teams. That game could have gone into overtime, and who knows what would have happened. I will take the Jets here.
I'm going to take the Jets as well. I think Fields' injury, I think, is the big wild card for me. If he doesn't play, I think it's probably Jets game pretty easy. Because like you said, Peter, just a Chicago defense isn't playing very well at this point. All right, next up we've got Cincinnati at Tennessee. Cincinnati as the road team, favored by 1.5. I hate doing this, man, but I think I'm going to go Tennessee here. I think that they've been sticking in games and doing pretty well, leaning on Henry as always. I think that they can do enough to beat off a Cincinnati team.
My Tennessee disrespect continues. I watched them against Green Bay. I don't see it, man. I just don't see it with this team. I don't think they're real. I think Cincinnati has a better chance of being real. I think they'll win it, and we're going to have not that many points to have to win by. So, give me Cincinnati.
Yeah, I do think that Tennessee is a little more solid than Alec thinks, but I think we're both in agreement they probably don't make it out of the first round of the playoffs. And what I'm going to give the edge to Cincy here is their passing attack. Treylon Burks has come on a little bit for the Titans as of late, but that's nothing compared to what the Bengals have in Higgins, and I think that'll be the difference in this game. All right, another tough one to pick. Denver at Carolina. Denver's a 2.5-point favorite. We just saw what happened with the Panthers coming here. The Broncos, though. Oh, the Broncos. I think I have to take them, though, because... Can I just abstain? Can we? This game's not real. Alex saying that the Titans aren't real. This isn't a real game. No one cares about this game. Whatever.
Well,
Carolina's ticked off from the win last week. I don't know. The loss. Whatever. I've got nothing. I've got nothing of substance to say on this matchup.
The only thing I was going to say is that I think it's hilarious that Denver is going to look at the same game film 2 weeks in a row. One for they're going to look at the Baltimore-Carolina game for week 1 for Carolina, and then again for the Ravens game after. I think there's valuable film to be seen from the same one, just in 2 different sides. So I think I'm gonna go with Denver here. I'm gonna say that they pick up something from the Ravens on film as far as how their defense is playing against Carolina, and that's gonna shoot themselves in the foot because we're gonna play a lot better next week.
I'm going with Denver in this stupid matchup. This is the one that almost broke me. I was making the spreadsheet. I just wanted to cry. I was like, man, football sucks. Like, what is this? Carolina versus Denver. I can't believe I have to choose this. I'm picking it because of Sam Darnold against this defense. Like, he'll be seeing ghosts again. And
oh, that's
Denver
right.
will score
Darnold's
3
playing.
points. Yeah, I just, yeah. But man, Denver, what a joke. Broncos country, let's ride. They got rid of Melvin Gordon. What's left over there? Next up, Tampa Bay at Cleveland. Tampa Bay is a 3-point favorite. This is the last game that Cleveland will have to play without their beloved new quarterback. Will they win? No. They will not win. Will Tampa Bay cover? Yeah, probably. I haven't thought about Tampa Bay for a while. I kind of want to watch them and see how they're doing. But I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here because I think Cleveland's a disaster.
Yeah, well, last we saw Tampa, they had actually a good win against the Seahawks in Germany. Granted, of course, that one had the overseas travel factor in it. If that game was on a neutral field, Seattle would have been able to win. We know Seattle's been really strong this year. But I think it's also possible Tampa Bay has finally started to figure some things out on offense and, defense more so. So I'll give it to Tampa. Yeah.
Fire the cannons. It's a sweep. I'm going Tampa as well. Next up, we've got the Raiders at Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 3.5 points. I think I'm going to go with Seattle with this one. I think Vegas has done some things recently, but I do think Seattle is the better team. I think they can win by 3.5.
I can't say anything more than that, Chris. Great pick. I think Seattle's able to win this week against the Vegas team that, even though they had a weak, solid performance last week, found out a way to win. I don't think it'll continue.
Yeah, Vegas should have lost to the Broncos last week. And before that was a 3-game loss streak to some not great teams. Seattle. All right, next up, we got the Chargers, the team I love to pick against, traveling to Arizona, playing the maybe Colt McCoy-led offense. We'll see. It's been Colt McCoy the past 2 weeks. Chargers had a close loss to the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. Arizona got crushed in Mexico by the 49ers on Monday Night Football. As much as I am not a believer in the Chargers, I think that whether it's McCoy or Murray, the Chargers will be able to win this one and cover. I think they still have just more talent on offense there.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that, yeah. I mean, we've been saying this for weeks. The Arizona defense, I think, is the one that worries me the most. Budda Baker obviously continues to play at extremely high level, but he's, one player on the defensive 11. I think the Chargers have enough pieces they can do some damage.
Sweep for us. Picking the Chargers here. They looked pretty darn good against Kansas City. It's kind of what you want to see. I think that they have the pieces, man. Like, they have more talent than Arizona does. So let's go with them. Tough game coming up. New Orleans at San Francisco. San Francisco is favored by 9. I've been sleeping on San Francisco all year long. They really upended Arizona on prime time yesterday. I'm going to go ahead and take San Francisco. We know they have all the skill position weapons and a great defense. We just have to believe in Garoppolo enough to, play point guard at a replacement level. And he's been doing an all right job. So I will reverse my priors and take San Francisco.
It's a momentous occasion last night with FanDuel Sportsbook going live and sportsbooks all over. Well, at least for the early wager stuff. And I got to place my first ever online bet on a game. I picked San Francisco to cover, and they covered. And I felt so good about San Francisco, I also put in a parlay. George Kittle over 50 yards receiving and a touchdown. And I got that as well. I'm so rich. I won $20. I feel so proud of myself. And just out of thankfulness to San Francisco, I'm going to pick them again.
I do really like San Francisco here. I think that they might win this game, but that's a big spread. I think New Orleans can do enough to stick in there, so I think that they'll cover. Next up, we've got the LA Rams at Kansas City. This is the biggest spread of the week, ladies and gentlemen. Kansas City by 14.5 points. That seems absolutely bananas. But that being said, Kansas City is playing at a very high level right now. The Rams are not playing at a high level right now. It's really tough. I think I'm going to go KC, but man, I don't feel great about it.
The Rams released Henderson today. I mean, they're in a tailspin, dude. We don't know what quarterback's going to play. Will Stafford be back from his concussion? You look at this spread and you're like, man, KC, are you going to win by more than 2 touchdowns? It's such a juicy spread at a half point on the 14. Really the knife twist of Vegas. I think I'm taking him. I think I am too, man. I think Kansas City's going to figure out a way to really just dominate. So, yep, Kansas City.
As good as Kansas City is this year, they are 8-2, first in the AFC West. They've actually only won 2 games this season by this point total. Week 1 at Arizona, and then just before their bye at San Francisco. But that said, the Rams their defense is just atrocious right now. Dalton last week, only 4 incompletions, 3 touchdowns, no picks. I think that tells you all you need to know about what Mahomes is going to be able to do to this secondary. And there's no way that the Rams are able to keep pace without Cooper Kupp. So I'll take Kansas City as well. All right, Sunday Night Football, an interesting one. We've got the Packers, who had been playing a little better as of late. They got the win against Dallas, obviously, and though they lost against Tennessee, they were in the game against Philadelphia, who lost to Washington and then only won by a single point against the Colts last week. 7-point spread. This is a tough one, but I think I'm going to take Philly to bounce back here. I just don't know how much fight Green Bay has left in them, and I think Philly wants to get back on track, even though they have some injuries to players. I think they'll be able to win this one, although I will say I don't know if I feel super great about that pick.
Yeah, I think I might go Green Bay here, just because the last couple of weeks they've been playing up to their competition. I think that they could win and be within 7.
Totally understand that point of thought there, Chris. I kind of thought about it too. 7 points. This game could very easily be a push. We didn't see that much out of the Philadelphia offense against the Indianapolis Colts, which was quite surprising. Green Bay looks like they might be figuring a couple things out, unlocking some young weapons there. But I'm going to go with Philadelphia, the better team, the team I think that will win, finding a way to win by more than a touchdown. Last game, this is the Monday night game, the treat that we all get after a very big football weekend, one of the biggest football weekends with Thanksgiving, and a huge football weekend for Maryland, the first one we can bet on legally online. Very big time to be alive. DraftKings, that sponsorship any day now. But we got Pittsburgh at Indianapolis. Indianapolis is favored by 2.5 points. Are you kidding me? This is what we have to watch on Monday night? Give me Pittsburgh. I think they find a way to cover and maybe even win. These are two not great teams. Two teams just playing to play at this point. I am going to go with Pittsburgh.
I kind of feel the same. I think Pittsburgh's offense has done well enough the last couple of weeks to actually put some more points on the board. I think that they can keep this within a field goal and cover.
What's going to be the difference here, I think, is going to be the momentum of these two teams. Indianapolis almost beat the Eagles last week, and then 2 weeks ago they beat the Raiders. There seems to be some energy there over this coaching change, whether or not it ends up being a good long-term move for them. And then Pittsburgh, they were in that game against Cincinnati and lost that home divisional game, an emotional loss. I think they're gonna have a little less fight coming into this matchup than the Colts, which is the only reason I'll go Indianapolis. But yeah, looking at it from talent perspective, I think this is a toss-up of who's going to win.
Yep. Well, it's a full slate of games, everybody. Nobody's on bye this week. Get in on the action if you're in Maryland. If you haven't been watching all this time, this is a great time to get involved. We got the apps now. Pick, put $1 or $2 on any of the games that you're feeling strong about. Have a little bit of extra rooting interest. Why not? Have some fun. Be smart about it. But leave your picks in the comments section below, and we look forward to seeing you next week.